March this year, a 75-year-old woman scavenging for copper near the Georgian capital Tbilisi accidentally dug through a fibre optic cable with her spade, cutting off the internet for the whole of neighbouring Armenia, as well as large parts of Georgia and Azerbaijan. We like to think that the internet can't be switched off. Its decentralised design was intended to survive a nuclear attack. In theory, if one part of the network is taken out, traffic is simply rattled around that zone and business goes on as normal. But as that Georgian woman proved when she took a whole nation offline for hours, the internet is extremely fragile in some places, particularly in those where less than benevolent governments own the pipes, the telecommunications infrastructure, the electricity and the ISPs. Countries like Egypt, where during the anti-Mubarak protests in January, the government noticed the spike in net traffic and pulled the plug on all 4 of Egypt's main ISPs. For 90% of the population, the internet went dark. The internet was still accessible to those connected to an ISP called the Noor Group. Noor's clients include major banks, insurance agencies and the Egyptian Stock Exchange. So tech-savvy protesters hacked the Noor accounts to get their messages out to the world. 4 days after the initial ISP shutdown, Mubarak's IT guys unplugged Noor as well, drawing international criticism.
We believe that governments who have erected barriers to internet freedom, whether they're technical filters or censorship regimes or attacks on those who exercise their rights to expression and assembly online, will eventually find themselves boxed in.
Western democracies espouse freedom, but they're also getting anxious about the openness of the internet. A bill granting the US president the power to pull critical infrastructure like water and electricity utilities off the internet during a cyber attack will go before a Senate review committee later this year. Considerably watered down, the original version called for the president to be able to pull the plug on the entire internet. 2 weeks ago, in the lead-up to the G8 summit in France, President Nicolas Sarkozy held another summit, EG8, inviting net company bosses and digital luminaries to take part. On the agenda were various ideas for improving business growth online, but also roundtable discussions on how to create a civilised internet. The term was borrowed from the Chinese, the word civilised translating as more government control.
It's frightening, and of course it has a real chilling effect on the right to freedom of speech. And so we do want an uncivilised internet. I mean, it doesn't mean that we want a violent internet, but we want an internet where all speech is equal. As governments and corporations seek greater control of the net we know, grassroots movements are popping up around the world dedicated to keeping it decentralised and out of reach of regulation. Activist group A Human Right is campaigning to bring satellite internet to the African continent. It hopes to buy the assets of a bankrupt satellite company and move its hardware to an orbit that could offer free internet for millions of Earth's poorest citizens.
It essentially is trying to address this problem. Like, what do you do when people shut off the internet? That's so terrible. What if you could, have this whole satellite ecosystem and this terrestrial ecosystem that ensures that it's just almost impossible to shut down.
The terrestrial ecosystem they're talking about is called a mesh network, a wireless network created not with laptops or desktops, but with mobile phones. South Australia's Dr. Paul Gardner-Stephen is a key figure in the development of mesh networks.
What we've done, we've taken off-the-shelf phones because it was really key. We wanted something that would work with existing hardware. So we thought, okay, what hardware is there in an existing phone we can use? And the easy answer is we can use the Wi-Fi radio. A bit like a dot-to-dot. We can join the dots from somewhere where there is internet access, and we can actually relay high-speed broadband internet to other people in that community who otherwise wouldn't be able to get it. By dropping one phone into a very large disaster area, we can actually have this ripple effect that actually gets everyone connected in a very short period of time.
Whenever someone tries to tame the internet, there'll always be those who try and liberate it. And if history is any guide, those who are trying to keep the internet open will always be one step ahead of slow-moving governments and corporations. So I guess the only thing we have to worry about are little old ladies with shovels.